Welcome to Trial Site News Weekly Roundup. Today we'll be talking about Bamlanivimab, a monoclonal antibody treatment that presents special difficulties in administration. Then, the U.S. Senate Committee will be holding a hearing on COVID-19 home treatment status. And finally, Sinovac's CoronaVac trial is reauthorized by Anvisa. The Phase 3 clinical trial continues on. From Trial Site News, I'm Adrian, and the Weekly Roundup starts now. The medical and research establishments certainly have given their best during this pandemic. Eli Lilly is no exception, having marshaled thousands of scientists, research professionals, and clinical trial teams to develop and test novel drugs with the aim of treating a new and deadly virus. Recently, one of the company's breakthrough investigational monoclonal antibody therapies, first known as Cov555 and now Bamlanivimab, was made available as a COVID-19 treatment under an Emergency Use Authorization, per the NEJM's Journal Watch blog. Now, the only acceptable use at this time involves outpatients currently deemed a high risk for severe disease progression and/or hospitalization. Much like remdesivir, this emergency use treatment fails the ease of administration test. Now, in the case of Bamlanivimab, it's challenging to administer to patients. The federal government has paid Eli Lilly $3.75 billion for investigational product costs to date. Also, it is more than likely that this is just a fraction of the actual cost when considering the complexity and impracticality of administering the product. The provider's price tag for the myriad of services, resources, and associated efforts will be substantial. Moreover, although well-intentioned, the EUA and associated problems of delivery will likely only serve to intensify health inequities during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, in the Journal Watch piece, Dr. Paul Sachs takes a critical look at the challenges of delivering this investigational product in pandemic conditions. And considering that the approved use of remdesivir didn't allow for easy outpatient administration either, one has to wonder why this chasm builds between what is researched and approved, if just an emergency basis, and the true need of the healthcare market at this point in time. So let's look at the critique. The federal government spent $3.75 billion for the first 300,000 doses of the investigational product. But as I mentioned, that is just a start. In the deal with Eli Lilly, there is an option to buy plenty more product at the same price point. The premise was that it will be free for the patient. But let's look at what it actually takes to administer this experimental drug. According to Dr. Sachs, who is a clinical director of infectious disease clinic and professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, the actual complexity and obstacles associated with the implementation of this treatment raise many questions for the research establishment. But why is it so difficult for a patient to take Bamlanivimab? Well, let's take a look. First, there's a limited supply. Although Eli Lilly has declared they are ramping up manufacturing in the short run, by some estimates, the current supply could be exhausted within just a couple of weeks. Next, it requires intravenous use. Many clinicians don't have the ability to offer fast, affordable infusions in clinic. Then, Bamlanivimab must be administered within 10 days of symptom onset. A growing number of physicians want to treat patients immediately. Hence, protocols are hotly debated in the physician community, and a full 10 days may be too late. Regardless, Dr. Sachs notes that the precise window of opportunity for treatment isn't known. Now, patients are most contagious between 1 day before and 5 days after onset of COVID-19 symptoms. This is when most secondary transmissions occur. It's at this time that patients should be brought in for treatment, according to Dr. Sachs. Then, unfortunately, a majority of infusion centers have a high proportion of immunocompromised patients, that is, individuals facing rheumatological and neurology conditions who are receiving intravenous immunosuppressive treatments, in addition to cancer patients receiving chemotherapy, which means it's a high-risk environment. Then, a good number of infusion centers are not optimized for urgent referrals. The infusion process is timely and complex and will undoubtedly be costly, as was cautioned already by some in the health sector. The costs will be significant, including the setup and post-treatment monitoring. Emergency departments won't desire a 3-hour treatment, clogging mission-critical patient flow. Also, the Bamlanivimab formulation is tricky to prepare and not stable for very long. And this is not to mention the serious side effects that are possible. Importantly, these side effects failed to materialize in a recent published paper, but they are noted in the package insert. Now, Dr. Sachs reminded everyone that the federal government and logistical elements associated with Operation Warp Speed, combined with the onerous path to investigational product delivery to the patient in this case, raises the specter of how to efficiently and effectively take care of the patient with COVID-19 with this promising drug. And he says it's not an easy nut to crack. Now, there are some health equity concerns. Dr. Sachs noted that the realities of economic, racial, and other chasms involved within the social detriments of health rear their ugly head in this modern pandemic. Based on the way healthcare during the COVID-19 pandemic has already unfolded, underserved populations will more than likely miss out on any benefits associated with this promising yet difficult to administer treatment. Now, for this next story, we're going to talk about a medical research blog called Covexit. Now, a growing movement of physicians around the United States builds momentum to consider systemic and methodical care upon positive diagnosis with COVID-19. The Covexit blog, authored by an Oxford graduate and former university lecturer Jean-Pierre Kiekens, offers news, independent policy, and analysis concerning this horrific pandemic. Trial Site News will support any effort by physicians, researchers, and health policy experts in their quest to ensure the efficient dissemination of the best available knowledge regarding prospective early outpatient treatment at home and in long-term care facilities, where up to 40% of the pandemic deaths have occurred. Trial Site News recently reported that the Brazilian Drug Regulatory Authority has halted the Sinovac Coronavac COVID-19 vaccine trial. However, days later, Brazil's National Health Surveillance Agency authorized the resumption of the Phase 3 clinical trial testing the inactivated COVID-19 vaccine known as Coronavac. The Brazilian study is sponsored by Butantan Institute. According to a Sinovac press release, Anvisa failed to receive key data sent by Butantan Institute in time and consequently suspended the clinical trial on November 9th. However, the following day, Butantan Institute was in touch communicating with Anvisa, and the report from Data and Safety Monitoring Board was submitted to Anvisa on the same day. Once Anvisa was able to review the data, the regulatory body made a timely decision to resume the trial. Now, suspensions are common. Regulatory agencies around the world are known to pause or suspend trials from time to time for a plethora of reasons, and this happened to be one of those cases. In this case, a death not associated with the study triggered the halt. The point of the Sinovac communication is that a suspension doesn't necessarily equate to a faulty product or a quality issue. Now, there have been some political rumblings. Trial Site News covered the initial halting of the study and the overall concern expressed by the sponsor, as well as the Chinese press. Sinovac, of course, was relieved with the news of the continuing of the study, noting in the recent press release that the event showcases overall a sensitive, timely, and effective regulatory process in Brazil. It should be noted that the Coronavac investigational product is already under emergency use authorization in China. For example, back in October, Reuters reported that the Sinovac investigational vaccine product was now part of a Chinese national program for distribution to essential workers and other high-risk demographic cohorts in at least one city, for a cost of about $60. Sinovac declares in its recent press that they fully stand by their confidence in the vaccine candidate's safety. Now, Phase 3 clinical trials assessing Coronavac continue in Indonesia and Turkey. Trial Site News has reported on the deal-making in the former with Indonesia state-owned Biopharma. Sinovac did announce the launch of the Phase 3 clinical trial in Turkey back on September. Now, in Indonesia, Sinovac's deal with Biopharma totaled an initial 40 million doses of Coronavac for $13.60 per dose. Now, of course, China is a community country, and the government has the authority to impose various rules, including price controls on pharmaceuticals and vaccines. According to a report by Reuters, Chinese vaccine companies must price their products at close to cost. And that, my friends, brings this episode to a close. As always, I'm glad to be with you all, and I can't wait to see you all next time.